Hi everyone, my name is Simi and today I'm going to discuss about few things about the three companies, namely BHP Limited, SANTOS Limited and FUNTASTIC Limited. So basically we are going to discuss about the financial statements a company needs to prepare every year. So let us start with the introduction. Now, in this today's world, every business organization need to meet its financial goals through meeting its objectives. So, it is necessary for every organization to prepare its financial reports in a timely manner. And now, the income statement. What the income statement is? So, the income statement is useful for measuring the company's financial performance. It tells us about the revenue, losses, or profits a company is making within a range of time. It also reveals whether company is profitable or it is going in loss. And whereas the statement of cash flow indicates cash generated by the company, so it basically tells us the sources of cash for a company and the outflows of cash for the company where the company is using its cash. Now, investors find both income statement and cash flow statement useful before making any decision related to the investment purpose. So, every investor, before investing in any organization, would like to analyze the profitability of the organization so that their decisions for the investments can give them maximum returns. And the major sources for cash for each of our selected firm. Now we will talk about the major sources of cash for these firms: BHP Limited, SANTOS Limited, and FUNTASTIC Limited. So the major sources of cash are the payments received from the customers of these organizations and major debts and stocks that were issued for the inflow of cash, along with the dividends which served as the major sources of cash. Now comes the outgoing of the cash, where these companies are using these cash. So all the three companies utilize their major part of the cash to the suppliers of goods and services, and other main usage is for the allocation of wages to the employees. And now we'll talk about the trend in cash flows operations for each firm. So upon analyzing about the three organizations, it was found that Fantastic Limited consisted of greater cash flows, but the positive operation of cash flows is staggering over the years. And BHP, in comparison to the Fantastic Limited, BHP Limited outperforms in the market, which has created a positive flow of operating cash with effective reconciliation measures. And similarly, Santos Limited had performed equally competent by creating a neutral cash flow in the operation, thereby indicating the effective sign of improvisation. And now the cash flow analysis over the 3 years at BHP Limited shows that the cash flows were higher than the generated net income. And the reason can be the major adjustments were made with respect to the reason can be the major adjustments were made with respect to the net income to arrive at a positive impact on the cash flows. And ability of now we'll talk about the ability of the firm to generate enough cash from operations to pay all of its capital expenditures. So the operating cash flows generated by the companies over the period of analysis shows that BHP was self-sustained and did not depend on external funding for its operations. However, Santos Limited, the underlying net profit after tax of Santos Limited for the year 2018 also gives a key thrust for generating cash from operations to pay the capital expenditures. However, at Fantastic Limited, a slumpy flow has been observed, raising the concern for cash generation in a vivid manner. After that, we will discuss that about the BHP Limited, the excess cash from operations where they are utilizing. So at BHP Limited, the excess cash from operations are utilized for additional dividend amounts, for sharing buybacks or organic developments and acquisitions or disinvestments. And at Santos Limited, the excess amount is carried on to the income statement as another income. Whereas at Fantastic Limited, no dividends were recorded in the financial year that ended on 31st July 2018 to be repaid. Now comes major items affected cash flows for each firm. So the items that affected cash flows at BHP Limited is evident when finance costs were influencing factor over the term of 3 years, and equity investments gains and losses were another item, and the incurred expenditure over new exploratory strategies is also a key item. Whereas at Santos Limited, the new items related to seismic studies, financial costs, payments were the major affecting items. And at Fantastic Limited, issuing of new stocks in 2018 was a major cash source where acquisition of intangible assets contributed to significant cash usage items. Now we'll talk about the trend in capital expenditures for each firm. What was the trend in capital expenditure for each firm? So the reduction of capital expenditure at BHP Limited in the year 2017 and 18 of about $5,218 million and $6,753 million respectively was attributed towards the payout of debts. Eventually, there was a rise in capital expenditure of $7,566 by 2019. So, in the case of Santos Limited, a growing pattern of capital expenditure was observed when the firm was able to generate greater operating cash flows, which motivates the investment onto new assets. Whereas with regards to Fantastic Limited, the capital expenditure trend is considered to be a bit lower owing to the lower net revenue losses, making the resultant of negative operating cash flows, which made the managerial decisions for fund generation and investments a complex one. So, and the next comes trend in net borrowing for each firm. So what was the trend in net borrowing for each firm? First of all, we talk about Santos Limited. So this organization maintained a known receipt record of debts over years, but the high capital expenditure in 2017 and 2018 compelled the borrowing decisions of the firm with a net borrowing of 3,325 US million dollars in 2019. Whereas at BHP Limited, the high borrowing issue was declined slowly and the compensation was made for dividend payout in 2017 for reduction costs of interest. And at Fantastic Limited, there were issues of debt till 2018, but there were signs of improvement in 2019 where the total current borrowings were maintained at $1,657 million. And now, next comes the evaluation of the three companies for selecting for lending purpose. Like, out of these three companies, which organization like we should select for the lending purposes. So for the BHP Limited, it was found that to be placed far superior due to the creation of positive operational cash flows over the years. So this shows improvement, signs of improvement. BHP Limited strengthened the balance sheet by reducing the net debt to about $9.2 billion, which is a reduction of about $16.9 billion over the 3 years, which is a very good amount. So, on the basis of the comparison of out of these three companies, so BHP Limited shall be chosen due to the higher product mix, and the brighter business shall be ensured in the prices of minerals as well as metals gradually in the upcoming years. And in the last, we will conclude our video, will conclude our analysis about the three companies. So the main aim of the financial management strategies within the enterprises is to ensure self-sufficiency of the funds. Self-sufficiency of the funds means the organizations should be self-sufficient, should be self-dependent on their capital or on their funds. And so these are the reasons why financial statements are very important for any investors as well as any organizations to consider. Thank you very much.